Morning. Welcome to our daily devotional Tuesday today. It is 10 a.m. Time to get started. If you are watching, I would ask that you chime in, say hello, let me know that you're here. Encourage my heart by your attendance. I know a lot of you can't always be here live at 10 a.m., and that's okay. I am thankful for your attendance later in the day and days to come. So, if you would, just say hello. And we're going to be in Revelation chapter 18 today. Now there is, I believe, 24 verses. And we're going to read them all, and then I've just got a general coverage of it. Alicia, welcome. Hello, hello. Carol Morehart, good to see you today. Glad you're here. Thank you for tuning in. 6 people watching, only got 2 people speaking up. Come on now, don't be a ghost. Give me a hello. Hannah Lewis, welcome. Good to see you, girl.
Hello, Hannah.
Kayla's sitting over there. She says hello. Happy to see you, too. I don't think it's Sunday, though. Lisa, welcome aboard. Good to see you. Always glad to have you here. Sheila Goff, Sweet Tater, good to have you. We're going to be in Revelation chapter 18. My recommendation today is a pretty simple one. And that is that you start a prayer journal. If you've never done this, it's really a great thing to have. Cindy Newby, good morning. Glad you were here again. I assume you're at work. Hannah says hi, Kayla.
I see.
Sheila B is in the house. Let's see. All right. I think we're getting close to having a forum here. We got 10 people watching. Karen King, good morning to you too, young lady. I hope you're feeling well today. Let's see. Revelation chapter 18. This is about the fall of Babylon. Babylon has fallen. And we're going to read all the verses, but then I've just got an overall kind of discussion about it. What is it, a city or is it a system? Or is it both? We're going to look at that. Polly, Owen, good morning. God bless you. It's good to see you too. Let's see. Wall Street is both a place and a system. So that's kind of a good analogy for what we're looking at. All right. So 2 minutes after, let's start talking just for a little bit here about prayer journals. The neat thing about a prayer journal is now you can get a fancy one. I was going to put a link to one that I found on the internet. I just Googled prayer journal and it came up with a really nice one. CBD Christian Book Distributors had one, Amazon. But I've always used just a notebook, just a regular composition notebook, any kind of notebook. and that's fine because I put the date and I put the prayer requests. And then the neat thing is you can go back and you can look at the prayers that God has answered. And that is so good. And I like having a prayer journal because when I do sit down during the day to pray, I've got a list in front of me that I know I'm not going to stray from. And, sometimes my mind wanders. So Lisa asks, who is Babylon today? Iraq, Iran? Just wondering. That's a good question. I don't know. If it is a world system, it's all of us. If it is a city, some scholars have suggested, good morning, Shirley. Glad you're here. Hope Joel is doing better today. Some have suggested it's New York. Others that is Dubai, that new city that has come up out of the Middle East. Who knows? It could very well be a place that is yet to be built. It could be that it is a discussion of a system. As we read through it, think about, is there a city that fulfills all of this? And remember, it talks about sitting off from a distance and watching. And that sounds pretty much like an actual place. All right, it is 4 minutes after. Let's read. I'm going to read to you Revelation chapter 18. I'm going to read fast. It's a lot of verses. Hello, Missy, and then we'll talk about it. After these things, I saw another angel coming down from heaven, having great authority, and the earth was illumined with his glory. And he cried out with a mighty voice, saying, Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great. She has become a dwelling place of demons and a prison of every unclean spirit and a prison of every unclean and hateful bird. For all the nations have drunk of the wine of the passion of her immorality, and the kings of the earth have committed acts of immorality with her, and the merchants of the earth have become rich by the wealth of her sensuality. I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, so that you will not practice in her sins and receive her plagues. Remember that. All right. Costa's here, Neil's here, Victoria's here. Great. Glad y'all are here. Remember that. Come out of her, my people. Karen Coble, welcome. Verse 5. For her sins have piled up as high as heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities. Pay her back even as she has paid, and given back to her double according to her deeds. In the cup which she has mixed twice as much for her. To the degree that she glorified herself and lived sensuously, to the same degree give her torment and mourning. For she says in her heart, I sit as a queen, I am not a widow, and will never see mourning. For this reason, in one day, her plagues will come, pestilence and mourning, famine, and she will be burned up with fire, for the Lord God who judges her is strong. All right, now we begin the lament for Babylon. Verse 9. And the kings of the earth who committed acts of immorality and lived sensuously with her will weep and lament over her when they see the smoke of her burning. Verse 10. Standing at a distance, that's the first mention, because of the fear of her torment, saying, Woe, woe, the great city Babylon, the strong city, for in 1 hour her judgment has come. And the merchants of the earth weep and mourn over her, because no one buys their cargoes anymore. Amber, welcome. Verse 12. Cargoes of gold and silver and precious stones and pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and every kind of citron wood and every article of ivory and every article made from every costly wood and bronze and iron and marble and cinnamon and spice and incense and perfume and frankincense and wine and olive oil and fine flour and wheat and cattle and sheep and cargoes of horses and chariots and slaves and human lives. Verse 14. The fruit you long for has gone from you, and all things that were luxurious and splendid have passed away from you, and men will no longer find them. Verse 15. The merchants of these things who became rich from her will stand at a distance. Second mention of that, because of the fear of her torment and weeping and mourning. Verse 16, saying, Woe, woe, the great city, she who was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, for in 1 hour, second mention of that, such great wealth has been laid waste, and every shipmaster and every passenger and sailor, and as many as make their living by the sea, third mention, stood at a distance, and were crying out as they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like the great city? And they threw dust on their heads and were crying out, weeping and mourning, saying, Woe, woe, the great city, in which all who had ships at sea became rich by her wealth, and in 1 hour, third mention, has been laid waste. Rejoice over her, O heaven, and you saints and apostles and prophets, because God has pronounced judgment for you against her. Then a strong angel took up a stone like a great millstone and threw it into the sea, saying, So will Babylon, the great city, be thrown down with violence, and will not be found any longer. Verse 22, and the sound of harpists and musicians and flute players and trumpeters will not be heard in you any longer, and no craftsman of any craft will be found in you any longer, and the sound of a mill will not be heard in you any longer, and the light of a lamp will not shine in you any longer, and the voice of the bridegroom and the bride will not be heard in you any longer. For the merchants were the great men of the earth, because all the nations were deceived by your sorcery. Last verse 24. And in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all who have been slain in the earth. I believe both a system and possibly a city as well. If you were to think of any city in the world that could fulfill all of those things, a seaport containing all of the riches that could possibly pass through her out to the world through the ships of the sea, where there are craftsmen and musicians and entertainment and all kinds of evil trade. What city would you think of? Okay. Now, I want you to remember the part that said, "Come out of her, my people." Come out of her, my people. We need to make sure that we are removing ourselves, believers, Christians, followers of Jesus, removing ourselves from the evil system that is growing stronger every day, that we're not grieving over those same material goods that we just read about. I mean, when you read all those things, do you go, oh, it's, or do you like, yeah, Judgment Day? You see, if that one city is destroyed, in all likelihood, the system is hurt as well. Now, this is also a statement against the entire Antichrist, one world government, one world economy, one world religion that is finally coming to an end, because we're getting into now Armageddon's coming up. And it's gonna get really more rapidly intense as we go. We've only got a few more chapters. Kind of why I'm doing a chapter a day. So you'll also see and remember that it talked about sitting off from a distance and watching. Well, connect that to destroyed in 1 hour. What great city can be destroyed in 1 hour, and how would that possibly happen that you would need to stand off at a distance and watch? Nuclear. God can do anything, doesn't need the hand of man to do it. God can destroy it just like that. Fire from heaven. So, takeaway for today. Don't be caught up in the world system that we live in. Keep your eyes on Jesus. Remember your calling. Your calling is the Great Commission to tell the world, tell all of your friends, everybody you meet about Jesus. Try to mentor somebody, help them to grow up stronger in the Lord, and not be wrapped up in materialism. So, with all that in mind, Rick, good to see you. Kathy, be safe on the road. Let's close with the word of prayer. Father, I thank you so much that all of my brothers and sisters who are here are hearing your word and thinking about how they can witness and share the love of Jesus Christ with somebody. Lord, I pray that you will prick their heart for somebody in particular. Lord, that you would help us to be your hands and your feet. Help us to come out of this evil system and keep our eyes on you, and to be ambassadors who are set apart to do your will. We thank you. We love you. We give you all the glory in Jesus' precious and holy name. And all God's people said, amen. Thank you so much for tuning in. I look forward to talking to you later. Bye-bye.